Hello, everyone. I'm Melinda Forsty, and I'm honored to serve as the board chair of NANASP. Welcome to our YouTube rally to celebrate the Older Americans Act 60th anniversary. That's right, the Older Americans Act is turning the same age that qualifies older adults for its services. I'm proud to share what NANASP represents and the vital work we do together. NANASP has been around for almost 50 years, and we're the heart of a movement that believes every older adult deserves dignity, nourishment, and community. Today is about two things: appreciation and action. We appreciate the Older Americans Act as one of the great society programs, alongside Medicare and Medicaid. Over the past 60 years, it has touched tens of millions of lives and remains one of the most visible and impactful programs in the country. With a presence in every state and every congressional district, its services, whether at a senior center, through home-delivered meals, or caregiver support, are happening in communities across America every single day. It is also the only federal program that provides both training for family caregivers and employment opportunities for low-income older adults. And today, we take action because for the Older Americans Act to remain as impactful in the future as it has been for this past 60 years, Congress must act. Increased funding across all 7 titles is essential. We also call on the House to support the bipartisan Senate Older Americans Reauthorization Act of 2025 so the law can be renewed. With older adults being the fastest growing population in the US, the need is rising, and so must our commitment. As president and CEO of Serving Seniors, I've seen firsthand how transformative these programs are. They're smart, preventative investments that keep older adults healthy, independent, and connected. They reduce hospitalizations and healthcare costs. They are life-saving. Thank you to our NANASP members, our dedicated team and board, and our partners across the National Aging Network. Together, we represent millions of older adults, and that collective voice is powerful. Thank you to our elected officials who are champions of older adults and for your continued support. And a special thank you to NANASP Policy Associate Chloe Floyd for bringing this rally to life. Following me, you'll hear from those who work directly with older adults in communities across the country, advocates, and members of Congress who have been instrumental in supporting the Older Americans Act. Now let's get started.
This year marks the 60th anniversary of the Older Americans Act. This landmark law created the Administration on Aging and provides older individuals with community, nutrition, and social services. Throughout my time in Congress, I've worked to improve the quality of life for older Americans. In the House of Representatives, I was a charter member of a committee called the Aging Committee. I continued my advocacy when I chaired the Special Committee on Aging when I got to the United States Senate. That includes protecting seniors from financial exploitation and abuse, shoring up retirement savings, and conducting oversight of long-term care facilities and social services, especially in our rural communities. I want you to know that I will continue to prioritize older Americans' safety and work to ensure they receive the high-quality care and support that they deserve.
Hey everybody, Senator Tim Kaine here. I want to congratulate NANASP on this Appreciation and Action Rally to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Older Americans Act. When I learned about this, I said, wow, I'm older than the Older Americans Act at age 67, but a huge supporter of the act, and I have introduced a bill with colleagues to reauthorize it through 2030. The Older Americans Act does so many good things, but just a couple that I want to focus on. First, the creation of the area agencies on aging. When I was mayor of Richmond, and then when I was governor of Virginia, I worked very closely with our area agencies on aging, and I continue to do that as a member of the Health, Education, Labor, Pension Committee in the Senate. The services that are provided, from housing to medical care to nutrition to transportation, by our area agencies on aging. They're just lifelines for people every day, and that's why these organizations are so important. The other thing that many of our agencies do because of the Older Americans Act is provide nutrition assistance to seniors. And I know you're very focused on that priority, particularly after we have passed a piece of legislation over my strong objection that is really cutting nutrition assistance programs. In Virginia, every day, 25,000 seniors receive food assistance, nutrition assistance, because of the Older Americans Act funding that is provided to our area agencies on aging. So I just want to thank you for being that lifeline, for creating a warm, comfortable environment for seniors to come to socialize with their friends, and to seek services that they need. We have never needed your advocacy and energy more than we need it today. And I'm really proud to partner with you to make sure that we keep focusing on the very simple idea that every American should be able to age with dignity and with the respect of the community that they've earned through their long and productive lives. My best to you, and have a great rally.
Well, hello to my friends of the National Association of Nutrition and Aging Services Programs. I'm United States Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock. You know, I often say that as our parents and our loved ones are dealing with both the blessings and the burdens of aging, we want to know that they have the security and the help that they need as they enter this beautiful stage of life. And few bills have helped solidify that sense of security more than the Older Americans Act. In celebrating the 60th anniversary of this landmark legislation, during a time when key programs that seniors and at-risk communities rely on are being gutted, we must recommit ourselves to standing up and fighting on behalf of our aging community, which is why I will continue to use my perch on the Senate Aging Committee to speak out and call attention to any attempt to weaken services our seniors rely on, as well as working to finally reauthorize the Older Americans Act. So know that I remain committed to this work, and I thank groups like NANASP for doing the same. Keep the faith and keep looking up.
Hello, I'm Don Beyer, Member of Congress from Northern Virginia. For 60 years, the Older Americans Act has been a lifeline for millions of older adults, including right here in Virginia. Today, it serves 11 million older Americans annually, 1 in 5, providing essential services like transportation, meals, and home care that help our neighbors age with dignity and independence. With 11,000 Americans turning 65 every day, these programs are more critical than ever. Every federal dollar invested leverages $3 more from state and local sources, keeping Virginians in their homes and in their communities. From more than 1/4 billion nutritious meals served, to almost 15 million rides to medical appointments and grocery stores, to providing 7 million hours of respite for caregivers and 48 million hours of help with daily living activities, the Older Americans Act delivers comprehensive support where older adults need it the most. So my thanks to NANASP for inviting me to join in the celebration of the 60th anniversary of the Older Americans Act, honoring 6 decades of ensuring dignity, independence, and community care for older Americans.
Thank you, NANASP, for hosting this important and timely celebration as we mark the 60th anniversary of the Older Americans Act. Since its signing 6 decades ago, the OAA has served one of our most vulnerable populations, seniors who are food insecure. In my district, I've seen firsthand how organizations like Serving Seniors are addressing this critical need. I've been so grateful to partner with Serving Seniors to serve meals to folks in our community. And I was struck by the immediate and very real human connection that forms. Because we're not just delivering food, we're combating isolation. I've heard from folks in my district who tell me that knowing someone will visit regularly makes them feel safer and more connected to our community. And this program has also proved to be crucial for keeping seniors housed, which is both a major priority and a major challenge in San Diego. When seniors have reliable nutrition support, they're better able to manage their health and continue living independently in their own homes. The OAA and all of the amazing member programs of NANASP ensures that our most vulnerable seniors can get the care they need. So here's to 60 more years of making a difference in the lives of seniors everywhere.
Hello, I'm Edwin Walker, former Deputy Assistant Secretary for Aging at the Administration on Aging. Thank you so much for including me to celebrate 60 years of the Older Americans Act. I want to start by thanking my longtime friend, Bob Lancato, the Executive Director of NANASP, for his incredible leadership through the years. I also want to recognize the NANASP team for the vital work that they do, and especially all of the NANASP members who provide on-the-ground help to thousands of older adults every single day. You know, as I look back over my more than 40 years of working with Older Americans Act programs and the incredible Aging Services Network, I often tell the story of how I fell into the field of aging, and then I fell in love with it and with you. I believe my life was geared toward this and that I was led to this field, having been raised in part by my grandmother and in a community where we were taught to have a very, very healthy respect for our elders. Your mission-oriented work is so very consistent with my sense of service, and I'm forever impressed by your dedication to improving the lives of older people. But very early in my career, working back with the Missouri Division of Aging as a monitor of AAAs, I truly began to understand that the Older Americans Act isn't just about services. It's about preserving human dignity and connection. And as someone who had the privilege of serving at the federal level as the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Aging, I've seen firsthand how this remarkable program really transforms lives all across America. Over these 60 years, the Older Americans Act has achieved extraordinary things. We've built the most comprehensive aging services network in the world and truly have become not only a low-cost, good value complement to Medicare and Medicaid, but the country's infrastructure for the provision of home and community-based services, good nutrition, health promotion, caregiver supports, employment and income security, elder justice and adult protective services guarding against elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation, and advocating for good quality care in nursing homes and other similar institutional facilities. Behind all of these accomplishments really is you, the dedicated professionals, the volunteers, the advocates, the program directors who innovate daily to stretch every dollar, the meal site coordinators who know every older adult client by name, the transportation drivers who provide not just rides, but companionship, and the caregivers who work tirelessly to keep families together. You are the heart and soul of this program, and your commitment has made the difference in millions of lives. As we celebrate these achievements, we also have an opportunity to strengthen the Older Americans Act for the future. And there are two areas where we can make a real difference. First, we need increased funding for all Older Americans Act titles. You know, after 2 years of flat funding, inflation is effectively reducing what we can provide to the seniors who really count on us. This is a double-digit cut to these services, and our communities deserve the resources to maintain and to expand these vital services and programs. And second, we need to support the new bipartisan Older Americans Act reauthorization bill as it moves through the Congress and particularly in the House. Finally, I would say that we have the chance to ensure dedicated aging leadership in the newly proposed Administration for Children, Families, and Communities. You know, the Older Americans Act has really been a cornerstone of supporting older adults for 60 years, and together we need to ensure that it shines brightly for years to come. Thank you again.
Hi, I'm Donna Butts. I'm the Executive Director of Generations United, and I'm so glad to be joining you for this celebration of the 60th anniversary of the Older Americans Act. We were thrilled at Generations United when we were able to build on a recommendation from the 1995 White House Conference on Aging that older adults who are raising and caring for children be looked at as an asset and a resource and be included in our policy in this country. So when the NFCSP provided that opportunity with its initial intent of providing support to middle generations caring for older adults, to expand that to demonstrate that older adults are not just the receivers of care, they're oftentimes the givers of care. So that became a really important time in the Older Americans Act when it could be expanded and grown to really be a program that supports older adults and the children that they're caring for. We were thrilled even more recently when a competitive grant program was included that supports multi-generational collaboration. So it supports intergenerational programming in communities around the country and those opportunities to bring young and old together. Now we still need to get that funded, but I'm hopeful and I hope everyone will help us work on that together. So happy 60th anniversary to the Older Americans Act. Here's to the next 60.
I'm Orion Bell here in Cleveland, Ohio, and I have the honor of being the CEO at Benjamin Rose. For more than 100 years, we've provided services for older adults here in our community. And one of the reasons we've been able to do that for the last 60 years is because of the Older Americans Act. Hi, I'm Orion. This vital funding helps local communities meet the needs of their local residents with amazing programs like Meals on Wheels, and senior centers and transportation service and supports for family caregivers caring for their loved ones. Many ways that those things are involved. This is an incredible commitment to our older adults in the U.S. And I think it's so important to remember the dignity and the comfort of those folks as they age. They deserve a strong Older Americans Act. They deserve an effective base of funding and support that allows those programs to continue and allows local communities and local families to continue to provide effective care for their loved ones.
We at the Detroit Area Agency on Aging, along with our aging services partners, we provide services to over 1,000 individuals on a daily basis. These services provide a pathway for individuals to live with dignity within the community and also to have a quality of life within their respective settings.
It's more than just Meals on Wheels. When I come here to St. Patrick's Center, I get exposed to Ask the Doctor, I get free physical therapy, I get health and education seminars, lunch and learn.
These are not frivolous things. These are things we really need for our well-being.
2 years of flat funding means inflation is eroding our ability to serve the older adults who depend on us. This amounts to a significant reduction in services. The queue and the timing as far as individuals' abilities to receive these services will be significantly impacted. As a former team member of the Administration for Community Living, there's a key opportunity to establish a strong, aging-focused leadership within the restructured Administration for Children, Families, and Communities. We should all rally behind the bipartisan legislation to reauthorize the Older Americans Act as it makes its way through Congress, especially focusing on passage within the House.
Hello, my name is Bené Jackson, and I'm the Aging Services Manager for the Mississippi Department of Human Services, Division of Aging and Adult Service. I've had the privilege of serving our senior community in this role for 6 years. In Mississippi, our 10 area agencies on aging work tirelessly to support seniors statewide. Through these agencies, we serve over 4.4 million door-to-door frozen meals and 426,000 congregate meals annually. That's thousands of meals reaching our most vulnerable residents every single day. The Older Americans Act is absolutely vital to our mission. It provides essential services that many seniors simply cannot afford on their own. For some of our participants, the meals we deliver are the only ones they receive. This program ensures our older residents can live with dignity and independence. The stories we hear are truly heartwarming. One client told us, without the meals delivered to my door, I wouldn't know where my next meal will come from. This program has been a lifesaver. Another shared, the Congress meals provide nourishment and community. It's something I look forward to every day. A third said, thanks to the OAA, I can focus on my health without worrying about food. It's a blessing. The Older Americans Act is more than just a program. It's a lifeline. It brings hope, substance, and security to those who need it most. I'm grateful to be part of an initiative that makes such a profound difference in the lives of Mississippi seniors every single day.
Hi, this is Tom Simmons, and I'm the Executive Director of Neighborhood Connections, a small private social service agency and community center in South Central Vermont. We serve seniors in 12 very rural, very mountainous towns, and we do that through the provision of Meals on Wheels, community meals, a wide variety of wellness classes, and our own transportation system, which helps them get to doctor's appointments and go on essential shopping trips. And then we also have a variety of social programs to keep them connected with each other, such as when we recently honored 21 Vietnam veterans for their service over 50 years ago. I'm proud to be a member of NANASP and to be able to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Older Americans Act. The Older Americans Act has been the definitive legislation that has helped local communities help their seniors to grow healthy in place. And yet, this act has not been reauthorized, even though it was due in late 2024, and funding has been level for over 2 years. While that funding has been level, our costs for food, for transportation, for gasoline, for everything we do, have continued to increase. We can't continue to provide the services to the seniors that we want to unless we can get an increase in funding for the Older Americans Act. I'm asking all of you to join me in fighting for an increase in funding for the OAA now. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Owen, Vice President of Population Health at Aging and In-Home Services of Northeast Indiana, and a proud new board member of NANASP. This past June, I traveled to Washington, D.C. for Hill Day and the NANASP conference to advocate for the seniors we serve every single day. We were there to advocate for full funding and reauthorization of the Older Americans Act, stressing the need for increased federal support to ensure all older adults in need can access essential services. We urge Congress to support $1.6 billion for the OAA Title III-C nutrition programs in fiscal year 2026. We also call for the reauthorization of the Older Americans Act, as these programs are essential to addressing the needs of today's and future seniors. Let me tell you about our local impact. In Northeast Indiana, AIHS offers vital nutrition programs that deliver over 150,000 meals annually, ensuring older adults have access to nutritious food with dignity and choice. Yet, over 8,000 seniors in our region remain food insecure and need our support. But let me share what this truly means to our clients. An AIHS Meals on Wheels recipient wrote us in a letter, "I so much appreciate these wonderful meals you provide. I sure wouldn't be eating so well if it wasn't for you. I feel so blessed." In Indiana and nationwide, more funding is vital to meet the rising costs of food, fuel, and services, allowing organizations to better support vulnerable older adults. Advocacy works. We all need to keep pushing. Call on Congress to fully fund and reauthorize the Older Americans Act. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nikki Dean, the Nutrition Program Coordinator for Piedmont Senior Resources, Area Agency on Aging in Farmville, Virginia, or PSR for short. I've been with PSR for 7 years, overseeing our home delivered meals, congregate nutrition, disease prevention, and falls prevention programming. I'm also the creator of several award-winning programs, including our PSR Pet Love program, which won the 2025 U.S. Aging Achievements Award. We are a NANASP member, and I'm so grateful to celebrate 60 years of the Older Americans Act by sharing how it provides critical services beyond nutrition. It provides human companionship. But our program also recognizes that sometimes the most important kind of companionship comes with 4 legs, a tail, and unconditional love. Here at PSR, we cover 7 rural counties, a federally recognized food desert, and medically underserved area. For many of our homebound clients, pets are their only companions. They'll do anything to keep their pets happy and healthy, even if it means sacrificing their own well-being, giving their pets their food and going hungry, or taking their pets to the vet before seeing a doctor themselves. The PSR Pet Love program was born out of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, when we noticed something heartbreaking. Our homebound seniors were running out of their meals more quickly because they were giving their food to their pets. Thanks to the flexibility that the Older Americans Act provides, what started as occasional grants has become a sustainable program, ensuring that both our seniors and their furry companions are healthy and happy. We've grown from 15 clients and 20 pets to now 100 clients and 230 pets, and still climbing. Through OAA funding and community partnerships, our services include free pet food for homebound meal clients, veterinary care assistance, grooming, and boarding services. We even provide flea and tick prevention to help combat alpha-gal syndrome, which is a tick-borne disease that's increasingly common in our area. The Older Americans Act means everything to us because it allows us to be that yes for so many older adults who are used to hearing no or sorry, we can't help you. The OAA's person-centered approach recognizes that seniors' well-being includes their emotional health and the relationships that mattered most to them, including their pets. If we can't do something in-house, the OAA framework helps us find the resources in our community to make it happen. Let me share a story that shows just why this program matters so much. I had a client call because her dog had developed an ear infection. When I told her that we didn't have the funds available for the vet visit, she said, well, I have some money saved up for some new glasses, but I guess that can wait. My kitty comes first. It broke my heart. So I found a local donor to help her. Another client told me about his little dog, Bruno. Bruno is Bruno, he said. I think of him as a pit bull in a chihuahua body. He's my companion, always there, and I take care of him and make sure he's happy and healthy, and he takes care of me. I'm not sure if he needs me or I need him more. I guess we're codependent. PSR is there for me, and I'm there for Bruno. When Bruno passed away, the client called and cried with me over the phone. So I sent him a sympathy card with Bruno's picture, and he called back in tears, so appreciative to see how much our organization really did care. We also helped another client with her 11-year-old Chihuahua, Zach, who was having breathing issues at the time. She couldn't afford the x-rays, but through our PSR Pet Love program, we helped with the cost and discovered that he had an enlarged heart. The medication that we helped provide through the program has kept him alive for 2 years now. And she told me it was so hard not knowing what the problem was. Finding the problem and getting the medication started meant so much. I'm so thankful for the PSR Pet Love program. Thank you for providing this important service, especially for people like me who live alone. The Older Americans Act doesn't just combat hunger, it combats isolation and loneliness. It recognizes that for many seniors, especially those living alone, pets aren't just animals, they're family. Our pet program ensures that no senior has to choose between their own nutrition and caring for their beloved companions. Over the past 5 years, I've built partnerships with 13 veterinary clinics and 2 grooming and boarding companies, along with multiple organizations and businesses willing to sponsor, donate, and even help raise funds. The pet walk that we've hosted for the past 2 years in our small town has raised $12,500, not to mention the many grants I've received to help fund this program. We even host a Santa for Pets during our annual Santa for Seniors fundraiser, gifting bags filled with pet treats and toys to those in our pet program, showing how much we care about the whole family. This is what the Older Americans Act makes possible. Programs that see the full picture of what makes life meaningful for our seniors. The OAA doesn't just fund meals, it funds dignity, choice, and the recognition that aging well means staying connected to what we love most. Through OAA support, we've been able to create innovative solutions that address the real complex needs of rural seniors. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Linda Miller, and I'm the director of the Centralina Area Agency on Aging, serving Charlotte, North Carolina, and the surrounding region. First, I want to thank NANASP and all of you there today who are advocating for the Older Americans Act. I also want to thank our network here in our region of over 35 different providers who help us deliver Older Americans Act services every single day. In North Carolina, we rely heavily on Older Americans Act funds. They almost singularly pay for all of the services along with some state funds. So we do rely heavily on those, so we appreciate your advocacy efforts. I want to talk a little bit about one of our biggest success stories, and that's going to have to do with this little guy sitting right next to me. We have an animatronic pet program that we run with our Family Caregiver Support Program. We started this during the pandemic a few years ago, but it was hugely successful. And with those funds through the Older Americans Act, we've been able to continue this program. These companion pets have been shown to calm someone who is agitated or upset, provide comfort through touch and companionship, and serve as a positive distraction during difficult moments for a caregiver. Many caregivers who have received these through the program report meaningful improvements. One caregiver shared that my husband loves his new puppy, Jack. He's brought many smiles, and of course, that warms my heart. Thank you so much for thinking of us and bringing that sweet, furry friend our way. These pets are more than just comfort tools. They're helping caregivers reintroduce structure and connection to their loved ones and offer emotional relief and enhancement of quality of life. So I want to thank you once again, everybody, and for NANASP for organizing this unique day for us to advocate to reauthorize the Older Americans Act and fund it. Thank you all so much.
Hi, my name is Crystal Hallwood, and I'm the Director of Transportation and Nutrition for Real Services in South Bend, Indiana. We are longtime members of NANASP and are thrilled and honored to have been invited here today to share our story with you as we all celebrate the Older Americans Act. I've been with our agency for over 18 years and seen firsthand the powerful impact OAA funding has on the lives of older adults in our community. Through this support, we're able to offer essential services such as nutrition, safe transportation, and relief for overwhelmed caregivers. This not only improves individual lives, it strengthens the very fabric of the community we serve. The gratitude expressed by those that we serve is both humbling and inspiring. We are a trusted, dependable presence in the lives of many. I'm deeply proud to be part of an agency whose mission aligns itself so closely to the vision and values of OAA. It's an honor to contribute to work that makes such a meaningful difference every day. The Older Americans Act provides a desperately needed safety net for our aging population, empowering them to age with dignity, independence, and on their own terms. Through vital services that address food security, social connection, health, and daily well-being, OAA is not just policy, it's compassion in action. Our Meals on Wheels and congregate programs are lifeline programs. Just this last fiscal year, our Meals on Wheels program was able to provide over 200,000 meals to over 700 unique individuals, helping them age in place. Our congregate program, which encompasses a 5-county area, provided an additional 157,000 meals. Our program combined, in our kitchen, we reach over 800 people every single day. In our Meals on Wheels program, 21% of our clients are 85 or older, 63% are female, 82% are widowed, divorced, or single. A full 92% report that without our services, they question to remain independent in their own home. Just last month, one of our volunteers found an 85-year-old gentleman who had been laying on the floor of his home for nearly 24 hours. Thanks to the power of a knock and our Monday meal delivery, he's doing just fine. This is not unique to our program, and this isn't the only emergency we had last month, and it certainly won't be our last. These daily visits are more than a meal. They're a wellness check and a vital connection to community. Through Alzheimer's and Dementia Services of Northern Indiana, we provide life-changing support to more than 13,000 caregivers each year at no cost to them. We provide early cognitive screening, safety ID bracelets, provide over 30 different caregiver support groups, offer family consultations and wellness programs. OAA funding makes a full 75% of the ALSNI budget, and without it, none of these services would be possible. We're proud to lead innovation in dementia care, launching the inaugural Midwest Dementia Summit and co-creating the Milton Village, the first U.S. adult center modeled after the Netherlands' revolutionary approach to dementia care. Across all of our programs, one truth remains: this work changes lives. This is compassion, this is community, and this is necessary. Let us protect and expand these vital services and support for those who build the world we live in. They deserve nothing less.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Merlano-Sidauer, and I'm the Director of the Department of Aging and Adult Services with the County of Santa Clara. Thank you for joining NANASP Rally celebrating the anniversary of the Older Americans Act. I want to talk to you today about the deep connection between how OAA programs bring people together. Loneliness has become a growing crisis in our country, especially among older adults. Studies showing that chronic loneliness can be as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. But here's what's beautiful about OAA programs. They don't just deliver services, they deliver hope. They don't just provide meals, they provide moments of connection that can transform someone's entire day. When a volunteer sits down to chat with someone at a meal site, when a delivery driver takes an extra moment to ask how someone is doing, when neighbors gather around a table to share lunch and laughter, that's the Older Americans Act at work. It's knitting together the human connection to services in a way that we all crave and need. In Santa Clara County, we deliver more than 1.5 million meals through our home delivered meals and our congregate meal sites. And I can tell you that our congregate meal sites are more than just a place to eat. It's an absolute lifeline for the individuals that are served. These programs understand that a warm meal means so much more when it comes with a warm smile. That getting together for weekly dances at one of your community centers is an absolute lifeline to happiness. We know that everybody needs to feel seen, heard, and valued. And Older Americans Act brings those services to us. And as we celebrate not just the services the OAA provides, but the connections it creates and the loneliness it helps heal, one conversation, one meal, one moment of caring at a time. Again, thank you so much for being here. Look forward to making connections with you all.
Good afternoon. My name is Vera Ross. I'm 97 years of age. I live in Hampton, Virginia. I attend the Peninsula Agency on Aging Congregate Dining Club. This is my essay on what the Hampton Congregate Dining Club means to me. I really enjoy going to the Older Americans Act funded Hampton Congregate Dining Club because it helps me stay connected and keeps me from feeling lonely or depressed. Spending time with others and socializing helps lift my spirit and makes me feel a part of a community. I also love learning new things, especially about topics and news that impact older Americans, which keeps my mind active and engaged. I love attending special events like the Mother's Day Tea and the Spring Fashion Show. It is always a lot of fun when we play games, do exercise, or work on arts and crafts together. The lunch is an added bonus as we get to share a tasty and nutritious meal, making the experience even more enjoyable. Overall, the Hampton Congregate Dining Club is a wonderful place that brings happiness, learning, and companionship into my life. Coming here was one of the best decisions I ever made. Thank you for providing us older adults this opportunity. And my hope is that the funding from the Older Americans Act will continue to allow even more adults the opportunity that I have been given. Thank you so much.
Well, good day to everyone. I'm Bob Blancato, Executive Director of NANASP, and I would say we all got to age a little bit today, waiting for this to come together, but I want to commend everyone for a wonderful pre-recording. Vera, I'd like to take Vera to Capitol Hill with me, and we could probably make a big difference, I would think. So first, on behalf of NANASP, a sincere thank you for joining us and staying with us during this wonderful occasion. Special thanks to Senator Grassley and Senator Kaine. But I'll come back to my comments in a little bit. My job now is to be an MC. I just realized I missed my notes here. And I have some colleagues who've been waiting patiently to have a chance to speak to you. And I'm going to begin with my dear friend, Dr. Yanira Cruz, the president and CEO of the National Hispanic Council on Aging. And I'm proud to say a new board member of NANASP. Dr. Cruz, thank you, and thank you for waiting.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Bob. And thank you to your team. Thanks for your wonderful leadership here in DC and advocating for so many years for older adults. And it is truly a pleasure and an honor to be part of the board of NANASP. So I am looking forward to working with you and your colleagues there. And so the Older Americans Act has been vital to the well-being of Hispanic older adults, especially in two specific areas, the nutrition program and the family caregiver program. The OAA has fueled the aging services that Hispanic older adults and their caregivers depend on for things like home delivered meals and home and community-based care, things that we've heard throughout the program already. And so we also know that the number of Hispanic older adults over the last 60 years and since the creation of the Older Americans Act has increased. And these demographic shift will continue and more Hispanics will be part of the older adult segment of our population. And so I would like to underscore how important targeting of services has been for the Hispanic elderly population, as both minority and limited English speaking are a category of greater social need in the Older Americans Act. And so today I call on Congress for increased funding for all 7 Older Americans Act titles for the upcoming FY 2026. Thank you and congratulations to everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Cruz. Next will be our dear friend Bill Benson, the National Policy Advisor of the National Adult Protective Services Association. But since we are talking about the Older Americans Act, someone as responsible as anybody in America for Title VII of the Older Americans Act, dealing with elder rights. So, Bill, please.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you to the entire NANASP family for hosting this celebration of the signing into law of the Older Americans Act 60 years ago today. My own association with the Older Americans Act dates to 1974 when I went to work for the California Department of Aging. As Unera noted, there are 7 titles to the Older Americans Act, and within those 7 titles, there are so many important and incredible programs, but I'm going to highlight 2 titles in my brief comments. First, Title VII, as you mentioned, Bob, the Elder Rights title, which I helped craft as part of the 1992 Older Americans Act reauthorization. Support for Title VII's Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program has increased significantly, but not nearly enough to address the needs of long-term care facility residents in today's environment. Funding for the Elder Abuse Prevention Program in Title VII remains negligible, essentially flat funded since 1993 at about $5 million per year. That's for the entire nation. The part of the Elder Rights title for Native Americans has not received a dime in funding from Congress over those years. Creating the Elder Rights title was a big deal, but much more needs to be done to achieve its potential in protecting the rights of older Americans. And second, I want to speak to briefly Title VI, which was created in 1978 to provide funding directly to sovereign tribal nations. Title VII today touches American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian elders in more than 400 of the nation's 574 federally recognized tribes, providing much needed meals, rides to doctors, and many other key services. Title VI desperately needs far greater investments to meet the needs of the rapidly growing indigenous elder population in the United States. Again, Bob and NANASP, thank you so much, and happy 60th birthday, Older Americans Act.
Thank you very much, Bill. And next, another dear friend, Carol Zernial, Vice President of Social Responsibility Foundation Executive Director of WellMed, and also the Raise Family Caregiver Advisory Council co-chair. But let me add that we wouldn't have a National Family Caregiver Support Program without the 1995 White House Conference on Aging, which Carol served as Director of Volunteers. The little known fact, Carol, I got it in there finally. So fire away, pal.
Thank you very much. What a thrill to celebrate this really special day with you, Bob and Bill and Yanara. It's like old home week. So I'm Carol Zernial. I'm the Executive Director of the WellMed Charitable Foundation, and we have 17 senior centers across Texas and Florida where we've served 63,000 older adults since we opened. We served 1 million meals funded by the Older Americans Act during curbside during COVID, and we operate family caregiver services across the country, partially funded by the Older Americans Act through our Caregiver SOS program. It's a part of everything we do. And this is an honor and a joy to participate in this celebration because I've been in the field like others around me for over 35 years and grew up with the Act kind of at the heart of everything that we do. And we were thankful when the Older Americans Act added the National Family Caregiver Support Program. It felt like the missing piece, the older adult and the people who care for the older adult. And as Bob just mentioned, I now have the privilege of serving as co-chair of the Raise Family Caregiver Advisory Council, which grew out of all the work we have done in the caregiver space over the years. And we were very proud to pass the very first national strategy for family caregivers with input from many of you. There is something for every family caregiver in the strategy. If you do not believe me, check it out. It's in there. And we now need to implement it with the Older Americans Act across this country. And the additional significance of the National Family Caregiver Support Program in RAISE is that this work links us across the lifespan to caregivers for those with medically fragile children, the disabilities community, as well as those who are caring for older adults. And so we can join hands with all of them, 44 million people added to our efforts to get the Older Americans Act reauthorized and to expand the funding, all who share a vested interest in supporting caregivers. So at this time where we have the highest number of older adults and the highest number of caregivers, we find ourselves really fighting for what we built with this moment in mind. We have to have dedicated leadership at the new administration for children, family, and communities, and we have to have increased funding for all of the services across all of the titles. We make a difference in the lives of older adults and caregivers, one person at a time. But we save the Older Americans Act services altogether as a fierce body of advocates that refuse to allow the Older Americans Act to dwindle. We refuse to let older adults not thrive. We refuse to let the Older Americans Act become something less than it is. It is full of promise. It's full of potential. It is the act that has served millions for years. And we're going to be there for the act. And we're going to be there for the seniors and the caregivers. So congratulations to NANASP and to Bob for the work that you've done, and happy anniversary.
Thank you very much, Carol. Thank you, Yanira. Thank you, Bill. So let me make a few comments. And first of all, I want to again thank Senator Grassley, Senator Kane, Senator Warnock, as well as Congressman Beyer and Congresswoman Jacobs for their timely comments earlier. You know, we're here to both appreciate the Older Americans Act for what it has been and discuss those actions to ensure its successful future. How can you not appreciate this law? It was the first of the Great Society programs, and it has evolved as few laws have ever done over history, creating a nutrition program in 1972 with congregate and adding home delivered meals in 1978, establishing an aging network in 1973, adding a specific title for Native Americans in 1978, recognizing targeting of services to older adults in the greatest economic or social need in 1981, and recognizing the need for programs to protect elder rights and prevent elder abuse in 1992, and establishment of the first ever National Family Caregiver Support Program in 2000. The Older Americans Act has impacted the lives of tens of millions of older adults over the years, and all for the better. And I want to salute some of the programs that have been around for 50 or more years as Older Americans Act programs, some of whom you saw on the videos, such as Santa Clara and Real Services. This is a remarkable testament to the work of the Aging Network, to people in the area agencies, service providers, volunteers, and the like. And we're thrilled to be able to acknowledge them on this celebration today. And so, you know, now we look toward the need for action. It's ironic, if not a bit sad, that the Older Americans Act faces its greatest challenge in the year it celebrates 60 years of success. One after the other: failure to reauthorize the Older Americans Act in 2024, the reorganization of the Department of Health and Human Services, eliminating the Administration for Community Living, layoffs of nearly half the existing staff, and an initial president's budget that wiped out key Older Americans Act programs like Adult Protective Services, Ombudsman, and falls prevention. But we see hopeful signs on the horizon. The administration has agreed with NANASP and our other national aging organization partners, U.S. Aging, Advancing States, Meals on Wheels America, and NCOA, to keep all Older Americans Act programs in one agency, the newly named Administration for Children, Family, and Community. Programs that were to be eliminated in the presidential budget have been maintained, but not all, and all must be. And now we have the bipartisan bill to reauthorize the Older Americans Act for 4 years in the Senate. To keep momentum going, we are embarking on an advocacy campaign in every state and congressional district where the Older Americans Act operates, which is pretty much all of them. We need our older adults involved. For those of you operating programs, educating your older adults about what the Older Americans Act specifically provides them is critical. On funding, every member of the House and Senate Appropriations Subcommittee on Labor, Health, and Human Services must be contacted to support increases in funding for the whole Older Americans Act. NANASP and Meals on Wheels America are seeking $1.6 billion for all 3 senior nutrition programs. This is a modest request for a program that has endured a cut with flat funding for almost 2 years. And then for reauthorization, we need 2 things. We need more senators to join as co-sponsors of S2120. And everyone on this rally, write to your House members to urge them to contact Chairman Walberg to have him introduce the Senate Older Americans Act reauthorization in the House. For the future of Older Americans Act programs, we need you to add your voice to our efforts to make sure that there is dedicated aging leadership in the new agency of ACFC, adequate resources, and adequate staffing, including regional offices. So let us use today for a proper celebration. It will take each and every one of us to move our action agenda forward. The Older Americans Act was a product of advocacy. The 1961 White House Conference on Aging and those who participated in it made this law happen. Future White House conferences on aging produced improvements to the act over history. What began in 2025 as purely defensive advocacy is shifting now to more proactive advocacy, allowing us to show the value of the act to the older adults it serves and the return on investment the act is to the federal government. So today we celebrate, and tomorrow we go back to advocating like hell. And with that, let me turn the program back to our board chair, Melinda Forsty, for some closing comments. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. In closing, I again want to thank all of the speakers. Hearing how the OAA programs have impacted lives, how they've delivered meals, care, connection, and dignity reminds us why this work matters so deeply. Their stories are not just inspiring, they are the heartbeat of our mission. To everyone who shared, listened, and tuned in today, thank you. And to all of you who serve older adults every day with compassion, commitment, and courage, thank you for being the champions they count on. Let's carry this energy forward. Stay involved. Contact your members of Congress. Keep sharing these stories. And help us amplify the message by following NANASP on social media and visiting our website at nanasp.org. Every post, every share, every call, every voice makes a difference. Take care, stay connected, and thank you again for everything you do.